let's talk ending and let's talk post-credit scene here, Ricky Flex. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, once again, why don't you hop right into our conversation on Succession, right? In the premiere episode of season 4. All right, time to get to it. There is a somewhat unexpected ending to this movie. It felt like Keanu Reeves was going to continue making John Wick movies, and he just might. But at the end of the movie, he gets shot in a duel by by Kane, played by Donnie Yen, and he starts to have flashbacks of his wife, and then seems to pass away on the steps of I don't know what that French building is, but
The
eventually, you know what it is.
the Sacre Croix.
I can't let you do it because you can't
I
pronounce anything.
correct.
Um,
I can type
but
it.
then we do a flash forward. We have Ian McShane and Lawrence Fishburne standing in front of the tombstone that said "beloved husband," John Wick, and he's buried right next to his wife. Ricky Flicks, did you see this coming that John Wick would supposedly die at the end of Chapter 4?
I think they hinted at it the whole movie with the
Yep.
church scene, the tombstone talk with Winston, the movie itself incorporating everything of the prior three movies that we talked about. And just like he earned his freedom, he did the task, you know? And I think the whole point of the franchise, really, after a long stint, was really, and it just was completing his vengeance. And I just think his story was really over. And going back to what I was saying earlier, like Keanu's 58, he isn't getting any younger. So I think that him dying really like seems to be the full arc of this character to go with his wife Helen. And again, like this movie was only like weeks like to the first one. Like this wasn't like out of the four movies, like I don't know how long the timeline was, but it was like a month. It wasn't that long. So I think overall, like they tried to tell you throughout, but subtly. And I think they did a pretty good job.
Mhm.
Um, I do have my thoughts about that, but it wasn't like, oh my god, they killed him. It was more like, okay, yeah, I'm a little surprised because he's so indestructible, but it makes sense.
And it ran its course, I think. The story that started with John Wick Chapter 1, the theme of death in John Wick Chapter 4 was really apparent, right? And we talked about it in a number of ways like you just did. Um, the fact that they talk about when does this end? Ian McShane constantly asks John Wick, when will this end? And and then he has accomplished his goal. He has killed the Marquis, right? He had and like Ian McShane has also emphasized like you've done all you can do. Like there's someone that's just going to replace the Marquis. The high table's still going to exist, but he became also someone that was considering, or at least like his actions considered had ramifications for the supporting characters here. You know, like Ian McShane got the Continental back and got vengeance for the death of Lance Reddick's character, right? And then you had him basically setting Kane free from the high table in his obligations, and he got to reunite with his daughter. We'll get to the post credit in a second, but I think he got his vengeance, also set these other people free. I think there's not much else he could have accomplished in another movie, and I think this is a great way to go out. You know, 4 is not the number you think of when you end right a character's run in a franchise, but I think it was perfect here. And they thought like, hey, we can do better than what we did in chapter 3. 4, let's make the epic that the fans deserve, and let's give this character what it deserves, this franchise what it deserves. And I liked it. However, we don't see a body. We don't see a dead Keanu Reeves as John Wick. So is there a chance, Ricky Flicks, that they have that Winston is protecting John Wick, where he has his tombstone, he's buried next to his wife, but at the same time, they don't want the high table like somehow finding John Wick or anybody else that might have vengeance towards John Wick, which there are probably literally hundreds of people that want to kill John Wick still,
Minimum.
you know?
Minimum. Yeah.
And so it's is there a chance that he is alive somewhere in an international land, right? Just living the good life, relaxing in retirement.
Yes. Yes. I actually put the odds at 50-50.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's indestructible, dude. He cannot die. That's the whole point of this. I
He's
think
the
after all,
boogeyman.
yeah, after all he's endured, to die from a shot to the arm, a shot off the collarbone, and the lower stomach, that's not enough for me. And I think, especially when he has three people right there to save him, especially, you know? So I think for me, it's like this was a great way to say, you know what? If we never want to do another John Wick movie, if we think this is a perfect ending, boom, he's dead. But if Stahelski and Keanu want to come back, similar to after Chapter 3, when they were fine ending it after Chapter 3, but then we're like 6 months later, like, never mind, we want to do a fourth one. If they have second thoughts again, this leaves it open because we didn't see a body. But I do.
Keanu's not getting any younger. 58. We
Yep,
brought it up
yep,
earlier,
yep. That's
and
why.
it's like you almost felt like he couldn't do more than he did in this movie,
Right,
right?
and
Where it's like sorry, but like Tom Cruise, where we talk about him doing all these stunts, like he can't do these stunts forever. He's gonna die making one of these movies. Like the amount of physical toll that probably took on Keanu Reeves. It's just like we can't ask more of this guy. He has given everything to this franchise, did 90% of his own stunts. We have to like let this be, and it's a perfect way to go out.
yeah, I think so too. I think everything that this movie said, just with the dialogue, the larger themes, says, yeah, like he's dead. And I think just again, like his entire motivations after that initial vengeance was earning his freedom, and he did that. So like it has that like dramatic irony a part of it, where it's just kind of perfect that it comes in death, if you know what I mean. You know? So I think yeah, like he is dead, but like if Stahelski and Keanu want to do another one, like they're leaving the door open and all these like every single interview they're doing about it, because with people that know the ending of the movie, they're not giving an answer. They're leaving it up to the audience for now. And it's because they don't want to like not they love doing these movies. And they're kind of leaving that door open, but allowing it to allowing us to kind of determine if we want another John Wick movie. We obviously do. But if they don't want to do it, they'll close the door really quickly because this movie allowed that to happen. So in all, like I think it's really down to the directors, and I don't think it's crazy to say he's not dead.
Yeah, I honestly think it falls more on Keanu because, like, well, it's a combination of the two, obviously, with Stahelski and Reeves, because this is everything to them. And this franchise, I can't imagine how much it means to Keanu Reeves because this brought him back from the doldrums, right? This made him like relevant, and it made him remind us how much of a beloved figure he is, right? In so many movie fans' lives. Um, we'll see. You know, there's a spinoff coming, announcement coming later this week that's not related to Ana de Armas and Ballerina. They said it's going to be announced within the next month or so, which tells me it's going to be someone from this movie. And they want potentially to tie into the post credit that we're about to talk about. So we had Hiroki Sanada that was killed earlier in the movie by Kane, played by Donnie Yen, and swearing revenge was Akira, played by Rina Sawayama, who had an awesome weapon with the bow and arrow. We usually see the gung fu, and then the gun fu, and you see like close range shots to the head from like John Wick. Instead, we got it with her in her own like style of weapon and like shots to
Again,
the
new
face
wrinkle.
with the bow. And she, at the end, we have Kane looking to reconcile with his daughter, finally get to see her without endangering her, and he's carrying flowers. And at the last second, there is a knife that is let out, right, from Akira, and then it cuts to black. We don't know if Akira kills Donnie Yen, if Donnie Yen's able to defend himself. Ricky Flex, before we get into like a potential spinoff here, what do you think happened?
I think when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna kill him." But then I immediately thought, "Wait, it's Kane." Like you have to think of him similar to John Wick, where it's like it doesn't matter. Like he's gonna survive somehow. Like he's gonna realize what's coming with his senses. And I think that again, like I had to pee so long, like I needed to go so bad, and it was really quick. It was like 30, 40 seconds, whatever. But I think what's interesting here is that the song that was playing in the end credit scene was "Eye for an Eye," and then in the credit scene, in the post credits scene, the actual scene, not just the post credits, Arena Sawayama was singing that song. It was kind of interesting that little as a seamless transition to the post credit scene with that kind of I don't know style. I thought that was pretty cool, and it just told me like, yeah, like they're kind of hinting at something could happen here in a spinoff. So yes, I was hoping for something else, but I really did like it.
I have a feeling. Well, first off, I think Kane survives. I don't think that Akira finishes him when that screen cuts to black. And I think that's what the spinoff is about. I think it's Akira trying to track down Kane for vengeance. I think we want to bring back a character that brought so much to the table with Donnie Yen. He's not he's not a spring chicken himself, right? Like he's 59 years old, but I think you can have a worthwhile villain, or not even a villain, just an antagonist to Akira trying to seek revenge. And then Donnie Yen also, you can build on his relationship with his daughter that he's now able to reconcile with. You know, I think there is something there. There's also potentials. Who was that character's name, Ricky, with the dog? Uh,
Mr. Nobody.
Nobody. Yeah, played by Shamir Anderson. I don't think that there's going to be a spin-off greenlit for him, just because I don't think he has like he was a likable dude, but I don't think there's enough to build around him like there is like with the Kane character that was so deeply written, not deeply, but written, where we have emotionality with him, and with Akira. To me, that's the next route. And honestly, like maybe like they can be involved somehow with Ballerina, but I think that's the direction it has to go. Those two versus each other.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the Ballerina movie will be a prequel to whatever this movie was to this movie, whatever whenever this
Oh
was
yeah,
set.
because John Wick's in it.
Right. So I don't think they would be in that.
Gotcha. All right. Any other spoiler section comments you want to make before we move on to our Succession premiere?
No, I just this franchise. I know like we're about to be leaving its prized possession, but it's still in like interesting hands and has a future. Like in other franchises, we kind of like wince at futures, that announcements that they make of future projects. But this one, you have the Continental one coming out this fall, which is going to be 3 90-minute specials on Peacock. You have Ballerina with Ana de Armas, John Wick coming back. And then you have another spinoff, which is most likely this post credit scene, whether it's focused on Donnie Yen or Akira or both. So I think this is, I won't say safe hands because John Wick is your foundation, your backbone, but it's in better hands than we usually see.
100%. And I love the inclusion of it, the first post credit scene that we get, because it ties up the only loose end that I can think of with the writing, where it's like what happens with like Hiroshi Sanada's daughter. Like that
I
is the one
totally
thing I was
forgot about it.
curious. But like it was perfect when it happened, because I was like, oh yeah, that's the one thing I forgot. And that's the one thing that never was brought full circle. And boom, we get that. It's a perfect lead in for the next movie.
Right.
Absolutely done.